Bureau, he covers Oklahoma in basically every way imaginable. Sooner Scoop, Unofficial 40 podcast. If you can cover an athletics department, Eddie Radosevich does that, and he's on your radio right now. Eddie, let's start here, though. I need you to put your weatherman hat on for a second and be our weather correspondent. What's it going to be like on Saturday?
Well, you picked the perfect person. I try to moonlight as a little bit of a meteorologist, all not too well. Not great. It doesn't sound great. I dug up some of my old rain gear today out of my golf bag. I think we might be having to wear it for a little bit. Hopefully things move out, or the system moves out by Saturday morning. But certainly for an 11 a.m. kickoff, and it's unfortunate the game's at 11, but it seems like it's going to be rather wet. I know the field's definitely going to be. I think we're supposed to get up to 3 inches of rain here over the next couple of days. So hopefully it moves out. I guess the flip side of this is we have been dealing with what it seems like an extended summer. So I think that the weather is going to be a little bit cooler, if that can be kind of a brokerage of something nice. But, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit rainy on Saturday. It's unfortunate because this is a big-time football game.
Yeah, who do you think that let's pretend for a second that it's raining throughout the game. Do you have a lean on who that could favor?
I mean, I guess it'd be the team that can run the ball the best. Although I think if you would have asked me last week, there was kind of given up hope on Oklahoma trying to find a way to run the football. So they maybe found something last week against South Carolina. I think there's going to be a question at the right tackle position when the availability report comes out tonight with the expected starter, Derek Simmons. I don't know if he's going to be available on Saturday, so we'll see. I would imagine the team that can run the football, though, the best, and certainly be able to hold on to the football. So, it's kind of a coin flip when it comes to that, because I know that both teams would like to put the ball into the quarterback's hands and let him make some plays through the air.
On that note, on the injury front, it's the multi-million-dollar question. John Mateer, of course, the status is he's going to play, but how healthy do you think he actually is, and is that thumb still bothering him? What do you think there?
It's kind of funny because I think like when he had the surgery going all the way back to last month, October 25th was kind of that date that everybody had circled, like, okay, he's going to be fine by then. You can kind of stomach the next 3 games, get through it, and obviously he played against Texas, and he played a little bit better last week against South Carolina. So we actually talked to him on Monday night. I think that the thumb is certainly getting better by the day. To say that it's 100% probably be a little bit of a lie. He talks about the brace with that he wears with the KT tape. But I think he's probably, by Saturday, it'll be the best that it's been since he's had the surgery, if that makes sense. So it was a little bit of a struggle. Maybe I think you could probably argue that he came back a little too early against Texas, and then certainly was a little bit more effective last week in Columbia. Certainly looked like closer to the guy that we'd seen in the larger sample size over the first 4 games of the season. I think he's probably, he's getting better just as anybody would, coming out of surgery, and now almost a month out of the actual day that he had it on. But to say that he's 100%, I certainly would probably be a little bit of a lie. And I think that the way that Oklahoma is, their inability to get the ball down the field through a vertical passing game, certainly I think that there's a lot of people around here that kind of feel like it's kind of hampered him a little bit. But at the same time, you want John Mateer out there on the field as being the leader that he is for this team right now.
You mentioned the success in Columbia on the ground, but you also said it's been a theme for this team that they have not been able to run the football. Why not?
Yeah. A little bit of everything, whether it's been offensive line, whether it's been revolving chairs of running backs. I think that they're starting to kind of center in on some guys, specifically in the running back room. I think that, Torrey Blaylock, a true freshman, has really turned heads, comes off of his second 100-yard game of his Oklahoma career. Xavier Robinson's the guy that played a little bit as a true freshman at the back end of 2024 and worked through some, various knick-knack injuries through the first 4 or 5 games of the season. He started to get a little bit more run, and I think that it's been pretty evident that they've been able to get some guys in the backfield, find some more success in the ground game. And, I think that ultimately the biggest thing has been an offensive line that has battled some injuries. They've had to rotate a couple guys, and certainly kind of some of the things that they've been asking the tight ends to do. Oklahoma just doesn't have that tight end room And I think that, you got to give credit to Ben Arbuckle for going back in and scheming some things up going into last week, and they obviously were able to find some stuff. So I think Oklahoma, for them to be able to run the football, they want to spread some people out and just try to gash some guys at a time. So it's going to be interesting, though. I think that's kind of the number one thing around here is if Oklahoma can find anything in the run game here over the next couple of weeks, I think that you kind of like where they sit from an offensive standpoint with as good as the defense has played.
And it's kind of a bad-on-bad situation, too. Ole Miss been very bad against the run, both in league play and honestly not in league play either. They haven't been good at it, so something we'll have to give there. You mentioned it, the other side of the ball, Oklahoma statistically the best defense in the SEC, depending on the category you want to choose. Is that simply a product of the lacking offenses that they've played, or do you think they're legitimately the best defense in the SEC?
A little bit of both. I think that, obviously, you played Michigan and you played against the Bryce Underwood as a true freshman making his first road start. There's always kind of like a qualifier, too, with all the teams that Oklahoma's played so far this season. Certainly didn't put their best effort out against Texas down at the Cotton Bowl, let that thing get away from them, especially in the third quarter with all the third downs that Texas was able to convert. You got to credit Arch Manning a little bit in that terms. But, it's from where they're coming from and from what Brent Venables inherited when he took over 4 years ago. It's been a dramatic turnaround, and I think that they've been able to identify some guys just from a defensive standpoint in the recruiting ranks. They've been able to develop them, and then ultimately it comes down to a defensive line that I think is probably about as deep, if not the deepest, that I can ever remember an Oklahoma football program putting out. I mean, you had guys in Marcus Strong, who's kind of their fifth interior defensive tackle, making a safety, making a stop for a loss, tackle for a loss, and a safety last weekend in Columbia. So it starts up front for Oklahoma from a defensive standpoint. They have one of the better defensive lines in the country. Or Mason Thomas has been exceptional on the edge. Taylor Wines had a breakout season on the other side at the defensive end position. And then in the middle, where David Stone, Jaden Jackson, guys coming in from IMG Academy, have started to live up to the billings that they had coming out of high school. Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton's another guy that when you just talk about in terms of development, you look at a guy like Grayson Halton that has been unbelievable this year. So he's kind of positioned himself to most likely be drafted in April at some point. And it's been kind of fun to watch because I think a lot of people remember the historic offenses that Oklahoma had in 17, 18, and 19. And it was because of a defense that they were never truly able to compete for a national championship. So, and at the end of the day, you can say a lot about Brent Venables as a head coach. We were talking about him, possibly being on the hot seat if they weren't able to get out of Williams-Brice with the win. He knows a thing or two about defense, and I think that it's kind of come to fruition for Oklahoma on that side of the football.
If you were Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., what is a possible vulnerability that you think that they're going to try to attack?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because, as good as Oklahoma's been from a defensive standpoint this year, they're relatively young at the cornerback position. And I think that if you can try to test them early, see if you can build some success, see if Chambliss can get a little bit of confidence going, albeit, granted, what's the weather going to be like? I think that they could be susceptible to giving up some big plays through the air. They've been able to kind of navigate through that because of the pressure that they put on quarterbacks just from an outright winning battles up front standpoint. But I do think that they can give up some plays, and I think that you saw that a little bit with Texas in the third quarter down at the Cotton Bowl of being able to find some plays that you can have success with, particularly on third down where they were not good in Dallas. Because, over the course of the season, they've been extremely good at getting off the field. So I would test those cornerbacks early. Gentry Williams left the game last weekend in the first quarter, has a little bit of a shoulder issue with that left shoulder. It looked like he wanted to come back into the game. I think that they told him he was going to be fine. And Brent Venables after the game said that the x-rays were negative. I do think it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he's listed at on the availability report on Wednesday night. But outside of that, they've been, extremely healthy, which is kind of a change here over the last couple of years. And they've been very, very good, especially guys like a Cortland Guillory that's been able to really kind of shine, being thrown into the mix as a true freshman out there on the island.
Eddie, we really appreciate your time. I've been a follower of yours on Twitter for a while. You're entertaining, also, obviously, with this interview, incredibly informative as well. Stay dry out there. Put that rain gear to use, and really appreciate you. And we'll talk to you again, hopefully, down the line.
I appreciate it, guys. Anytime. Thank you for the kind words. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that the people of Norman really supporting the people of Starkville this weekend and Jeff Levy.